Have you ever experienced something so crippling in your life that has made you feel broken? I have. Are you someone who has a giving heart but is struggling to feel good themselves? Are you consistently putting your needs aside to take care of everyone else? If so, you're not alone. Giving starts with giving to yourself so that you are able to give of yourself to other people. Isn't it time you took back control and discovered what makes you tick? Join me in my journey and find out how you can feel better about yourself, live your best life, and share that with others. Thinking of yourself, it doesn't make you selfish. It makes you brave. I'm Nelia, and this is the Giving Starts With You podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Giving Starts With You podcast, and welcome to season 3. I have had the summer off, which I kind of gifted to myself. This is the first time I took some time away from the podcast, but I think it was much needed and still did work behind the scenes, but I'm happy to be back. And I'm so happy today to connect you with somebody I have connected with, and I see a lot of commonalities already, even before our conversation. But I am so happy to bring Michael VanZetta to the show today to just connect with us. So how are you, Michael?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you. And you're out in Virginia?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
close to Washington, D.C.
cool. I've never been, I've never been to that side of the world, but you never know, never know. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
that
a
far
great place.
away.
No, it isn't.
The world is getting smaller every day, right? So I'd love to just dive right in and tell people who you are, a little bit about who you are, anyways. So Michael VanZetta is a seasoned broadcasting professional with over 20 years of experience. Known for his role as the creator of PiZetta Media, Content with a Cause. When I heard the name of this, I'm like, I need to reach out to Michael. He's got to come on here. Anything with a cause is like close to my heart. Through his own authentic videos, he spotlights frontline heroes, nonprofit endeavors, and mental health journeys, striving to make a positive impact. With a YouTube channel boasting 40,000 subscribers and a podcast titled PiZetta Media, Podcast with a Cause, available on various platforms, Michael combines his storytelling prowess and a commitment to meaningful content. His extensive career includes notable positions at WTWO, WSET, WJLA, WUSA, Circa, and Sinclair Broadcast Group, showcasing his dedication to amplifying important stories and causes. Michael, we're going to get into this, but during our conversation, I need to ask why stories with the causes. But before we start there, tell us a little bit about who you are beyond what I just told the listeners.
Yes, so there is a lot more than me than media and all that. The big thing is getting out there with having mental illness. I have bipolar disorder too, and I wasn't diagnosed till I was 37, so 4 years ago. So for a long time, it's, especially in working in corporate, you always had to be two different people. You had to be the confident person that, that didn't have feelings or anything like that. So so I was like that for a long time, and then until I got diagnosed, it was like an aha moment, and it changed my mind. My relationship with my wife's way better. I have 2 kids, and I love hanging out with them all the time and playing silly games. So it is that's what I enjoy doing with my family. But the big thing in broadcasting, it's been a part of my life for since I was 16 at a vocational school. So it is a part of me, and that's why I want to use it to give back to people.
I love that so much. And, being diagnosed at a later in life, that's it's got to be kind of a relief because you go through your
Yes.
life and something maybe not not the way
Yeah.
you think it is, or you're not sure, or like, and then you don't know, you don't have the coping mechanisms, and you don't know, you don't understand. So it's awesome that you're diagnosed. So that's great. And now you can kind of, you know, learn about it and just educate
Yes.
yourself about it and move forward with your life. So that's awesome. So how many kids do you have? You said
I
your
have I,
family.
I have two kids. One's about to be 9 and the other one is 5.
Oh,
Two girls.
oh, they're still little. They're still little. I have a
Yes.
17, just turned 17, going into grade 12. So you've
Oh
got some
wow.
little ones in the house. Yeah. So Michael, what was it like for you growing up? Like, what was it like for you when you found out you were diagnosed, and how did it change anything?
Well, when I was growing up, my parents got divorced when I was 8, so I always had like some rocky moments and all that. So I always thought there was some because I was in learning disability classes. So I always felt different. I just wanted to belong and be with everyone with those issues. So years, decades later, finding out I I am diagnosed and then really deep diving and all that, then I felt more like, okay, this isn't a bad thing. And it took a while because for 2.5 years after I was diagnosed, I didn't tell anyone because I was scared about work, what would people think of me, and
Mm.
uh, one thing at the corporate job, I told my boss and I was telling a few other people, and then they said, well, if you tell people, it's going to make other people uncomfortable. So then I'm like, uh-oh, I can't do this.
Oh,
So I didn't do it until my new job because I consult as well. And I told the boss there, and they're like, whatever you need, it's great. So I'm like, it isn't a negative thing. So then that changed my life. And then that slowly brought into, I have all these skills. I could create videos because I didn't have those videos, even when I was diagnosed, of just people talking about that. Because that does so much more than 8 steps for a healthy life or whatever like that. Someone talking about what they're going through and be like, hey, I go through something similar and they're succeeding. So that it all balances, all ties up together.
yeah, absolutely. So just going back to one of the things you said with your first corporate, I was like, in this day and age, people really do need to become aware. So because to get a response like that, that's hard because you
Yeah.
want to put yourself into your shell. I hope that, we can have some more awareness so people aren't afraid to talk about it, to talk about any mental health illnesses. I myself have anxiety and clinical depression. And you, when you first find out, it's like you feel shameful. But
Yes.
when you do realize that, hey, so many people are just like me. And I was actually happy because I'm like, it makes sense now. I can learn about it. I can be free. It wasn't such a hard thing to realize. I'm like, that's what it is. Thank goodness, I'm in perfect people and normal people are boring. Like I just think,
Yes.
and I think I love the response you got from your next, position, your next
Yes.
job. And I think I'm hoping that that's what is going to be more common, in the future. So I think that that's great. And yeah, sharing stories, on your website, you talk about how sharing or stories connect people.
Yes.
And you say that connecting to other people makes the world better. I love this for so many reasons. Um, so many people hide behind their traumas, hide behind their labels, all these things. But when we just peel that away and are vulnerable enough to talk to other
Yeah.
people, the things we learn, I love that you do this. I honestly, like, it fires me up because a lot of people experience loneliness. And I think when you start to share stories, you don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to be all of these things. You just connect. And without connection, it really is very lonely in this world.
Yeah. And I'm a super shy person and introverted. And just talking to people with this, I got my questions and everything. I feel confident. And then just talking to people about their life, like, hey, that's like me and all that. So that's why I want people to get out of it the same as I do of, these people are doing great things with nonprofits and, just succeeding in life. And, it makes me feel good that I'm doing this. And also when I talk to younger people about mental health, they are way more open than people who are much older than me and all that. So that's a good sign for the future that people are going to be able to discuss it, not as, a negative thing, more of a positive thing, and why we're all special.
Yeah, and we are all special, it's hard because sometimes we judge ourselves and we think based on what other people think, right?
Yeah,
Based on how if other people accept us or not. But like you and I know, it's so freeing when you put all that aside, but it is hard to get there. It's hard to get there. And I think the more conversations we have with people like us, the more we learn,
yeah.
the more love we can have for one another, I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you started making videos, like this was before you were diagnosed, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So why videos? What got you started with what you're doing?
So I always like telling stories. And then in the vocational schools, when I was in high school, they had a media production class. So I'm like, I love this stuff. So then I went to a trade school, and then I then worked my way at TV stations, very small market and stuff like that, and worked my way eventually to the DC area, which I'm still here. So it's a good place to be. But I don't know, for some reason I always connect it with local broadcasting more so because they tell more personal stories.
Mm,
But now we're at a point of broadcasting where they don't tell as many stories or focus more on events than people. So that's what I want to do since I was part of that business. And it was hard for me to really get into some of the stories because it's depressing sometimes.
mm.
So just being able to not say like fluffy stories, but real stories of people just being authentic in themselves and let them talk and tell their own story. Like with broadcasting, you have a minute and a half to tell someone's life story. Like what? So I don't have a time limit. Let's go however far. And that's a big thing of, social media. It allows anyone to have a voice and that platform to express that voice. So 20 years ago, I couldn't do what I was doing because you only have one option and it's this certain way. So now I could use all my skills, and then YouTube and all the podcasting platforms help get this voice out there.
See, I'm one of these people that, I try not to go down the YouTube rabbit hole, but man, it's hard because I only watch certain things and I watch things that move me.
Yeah.
So everything I do has to be, I'm a very emotional as opposed to like I'm a thinker, but more an emotional, a heart
Yeah.
person. And so, I'm watching giving back videos and you keep going. And like 3 days later, I'm still sitting on the couch watching these videos. And literally, and it whether they're sad or real or just inspiring, they make me feel alive.
Yeah.
When I feel things that move me, I feel more alive than so many other moments in my life. What is it you want your audience to take away from your videos?
That they're special.
Mm,
They mean something. They're not alone because this stuff, the stuff people talk about, it's what anyone goes through. It's not a big event or thing. It's what how you're feeling in either your head or your job, if you're military, or because I talk to a lot of military spouses and they talk about some of the toughness and then how they love that group, that little group that they feel connected. So bringing those stories out to a larger audience, that's my goal.
do you agree that your stories don't have to be exactly alike or even 50% alike for you to appreciate somebody's story. For you to take something and have it move you, it could just be one part of the story that
Yeah.
resonates with that person, and that's enough. Sometimes that's enough to make us feel like we're having a better day or to help us go through different moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, what would you say, Michael, is the best gift you've ever given to yourself that has maybe changed the way you think of who you are, of how you see yourself?
Yeah, I think really going into my empathy
Mm,
is something that was is really big, of just, not judging people by a cover or anything like that, just really getting to know someone and being open-minded and all that. I think that's the big thing. And patience. I try to do that. Try to be patient for everyone in my family and all that.
I think it's great because when we work, not work on ourselves, but when we pay attention to who we are and we try to understand, nobody really knows 100% of the time who they are, what they're going to do, and we're
Right.
all just growing and learning. And but I find that the more time we take to learn about ourselves, the more we can show up for other people. And that's one of the things I love about the title, love about your videos is, it's all about a cause. They're not
Yeah.
just videos to get views. They're actually meant for awareness, for teaching moments, just with everyday people. And I think we need to watch them. I think people need to really pay
Of course, I
attention.
like that. Yeah.
I think people really need to pay attention and, even with ourselves, because when we learn things like that and we give these gifts, like you just said, to yourself, then we can turn around and be more of a complete person, no matter what that looks like for us. And then we can help other people. And on the other side of the person, we've been talking about the person that's watching the videos, but for the person who's talking and who's sharing their story, what do you think it does for them?
I've gotten a lot of compliments and notes of how, you know, trusting they were with me telling their story, and they loved every part of it, of being there. And just sometimes when I talk to them, within the first minute, they open up.
Mm.
And, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that. I'm a guy who wants to hear about your story. So with that, then I feel like, okay, this is a safe space for everyone to talk about themselves. So that's what I love about talking to people, and getting the compliments saying this was wonderful and all that. That makes me feel good, because compliments, sometimes more important than money.
Yeah, and I'm sure it helps them even more than maybe the listener, to feel that somebody trusts. And people say, "Oh, I want to give you a safe space," but they say it like it's sort of like a cliche thing. But when you really think about when someone doesn't feel safe
Yeah.
and when you give them a safe space, how big that really is, how how needed for some people that really is. And I think it's great. I think it's great for the person telling the story. I think it's great for the person watching the story. So on this show, we quite often celebrate people who are doing what they love as their work,
Yes.
So I'm dying to ask you, how does it feel as doing what you love as your job, as your income, as your bread and butter? How does it make you feel? Because not everybody can do it. Not
Right.
everybody has had that gift. And my goal is to try to help more people do what they love, right? How does that feel?
It's amazing, because you're right. It doesn't happen that often, and be able to tell these stories and relate, and it be more of a emotional level as opposed to a technical level, then it, makes me feel amazing uh to tell these stories. And it's fun, because I love editing and video, and some of the things are depressing, and I don't want to do that stuff. So I'm glad I get to do more of the positive, authentic stuff.
I love that. And you have two little kids and they're watching you do what you love. I mean, who says you have to hate your job? Like, honestly,
Right.
we all grew up saying, oh, you got to go to school, you got to do everything in this order. And if you step outside of that, you're not going to be accepted or you're going to fail or you're going to, so kudos for you to do what you love. And I respect that very much. So thank you. And you're helping people everywhere.
Thank you. Yes, that's my goal. I'm not great with compliments either, but yes, thank you.
Who is, right? But when
Yes.
we get to that point in our life that we kind of, it's okay. It's okay to take compliments. It's not the easiest sometimes, but it's important that we do that for ourselves too. So, so I just want to ask you a question because we do have a lot of listeners who suffer from different mental illnesses.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to live with being bipolar? And also what you would like to see different. What would, like, maybe you've had a conversation with someone who doesn't understand, and maybe there's something you'd like people to know. So people are ask a little bit less dumb questions, maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, people just need to become educated sometimes about certain
Yes.
things. So is there anything you wanted to share with us at all today about that?
Yeah. Before my diagnosis and treatment, it felt like there's a party of 100 people inside your brain and they're all yelling different things at once. So it's very busy. And then sometimes it just feels very sad or very happy for a very short amount of time. So now I have treatment. I'm taking medication, family support, psychiatrist therapy, you name it. I'm trying everything. And that brings me now to more of a calm, which then I could actually think. And then that goes the creativity and all that, which people with bipolar disorder have. So that's why I'm thinking that's more of the superpower. So I just talk to me more as a person as opposed to, oh, this person has bipolar disorder and all that. You can't, everyone has, everyone treats their mental illness differently. And that just makes them a different, a special person, not someone who's just an illness.
Yeah, thank you. And people label, and just assume. Um, and there are so many types of people as there are, types of situations as there are types of story. Like, no two people are alike.
Yeah.
And you have bipolar disorder, but you're still you. You're still Michael.
Yeah.
You are not the disease. It's something that's a part of you, but you shouldn't be labeled as that, or because people, I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of when you have a mental illness, but sometimes people can make you feel different than that. Sometimes
Yes.
people can
Yeah.
make you feel like you are different. And I think that's just a lack of knowledge sometimes, but I want people that are listening to really understand, even for me, like anxiety. I always hear people say, oh, she's just crazy, and it there are people that are medically crazy, and that is a term that is used in the medical world for
Yeah.
certain things. Anxiety is not that, but just it feels so condescending when people use certain words or certain things to describe you without really knowing who you are. So I just want people to know that these things are a part of us. They're not who we are. We don't identify just with that, you
Yeah.
know. And I think that's really important because you need to see the person. You need to see the person behind everything. And um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I just
that's
want
where empathy comes in and all that. Then we could have real conversations about each other.
exactly, because everybody has something that they wish either they could change or that they struggle with, or maybe they don't want to change. Maybe they love that about themselves. And we all have something. And I think if we just have these conversations, watch these videos that you're presenting to the world, and just treat each other with love and respect. Giving love is free. You don't have to spend any money to be kind to somebody, because
Yeah, you
sometimes
don't.
people say, oh, I can't give, I don't have any money. I bet you the money is probably the last thing on the list people need. People need the conversations, people need the love, people need the kindness and understanding and the empathy, like you said. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
What are some of the things that maybe you've heard people say that you'd like them to rethink, or maybe that people shouldn't say? Like with me, it was like, oh, she's just crazy. Or because I'm a very emotional person, it's like, oh, great, she's going to cry again. You know what I mean? But now as an adult, that's the part I love about myself the most is my heart. Whereas before I used to hide it because I didn't want people to think, a negative thing. But now it's like, no, I celebrate that part of myself. I guess because I understand it better.
Yeah. I think for me is just talking to people and being able to for them to fully listen and not like discredit or anything like what you're feeling, because feelings are feelings, they come up. So that's my thing when people are like, oh, you should feel this way, and like, but I do blah blah blah, they
Yeah.
upset you and stuff like that. And I think that's a thing that I find more upsetting, is just people not listening.
Yeah, no, discrediting. That's a big word. It's like for me, I would rather get a negative response than get indifference.
Right.
It just hurts, right? It hurts more. Whether it's we have a mental illness or whether it's just anything, whether we're,
Yeah.
I'm a heavy girl or, my ears are funny or whatever it is, I think we all need to practice some acceptance of different people. And yeah, I watched some of your videos before we recorded and I just loved it. Like it made my day just, you know, lighter, lighter. And I think we need to share our stories with more people for sure.
Thank you. Yes, and that's the big thing for me, is getting a wide variety of stories and different people and all that, because I use whatever uh TV skills I had, so I can make a 2-minute story, and or I can make a 30-minute story. So telling the stories and telling as many as I can, that's my goal.
I love it. I love that there's so much purpose and intention behind what you do. And that's why when I heard, we connected online and I heard about that and it was all about message with a cause and all, I was like, I got to check this guy out because I really enjoyed it. And I know my audience is going to enjoy it. If people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, they could go to PiZettaMedia.com, and we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and come say hi and talk to me. And if you want to share your story, I'll put it on as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Is there anything we didn't talk about today that you want people to know about you, Michael?
Just that I'm doing this this is, my life mission and all that. And I hope people take it as not someone just trying to make money or anything like that. This is truly what matters to me, and I want to help as many people as I can.
I love that. But don't be afraid to make some money because the more
Well,
money
yeah,
you make, the more people you can help too, right?
that is the big thing, and that's my goal, to grow and be a, a big media company so I can tell as many stories as possible.
I love that. Well, it sounds like you're doing fantastic and you're succeeding really, really well. So
Thank you.
yeah, it's so great to connect with you today. And I really just, I feel like you're very genuine and I love that. I have yet to have a person on the show that I haven't connected with because they're all like, I don't know, I just connect with these heart-centered people. And I'm so glad to have met you today and to
Thank
have
you.
you come on and tell me, and open up about a little bit about your life and who you are. And yeah, I'd love to keep the conversation open and check out some more videos. It's awesome.
Yes, no, thanks for having me, and thanks for watching the videos.
Yes, I got to watch some more. Like I said, I can go down this rabbit hole, but it doesn't make me, I never feel like it's a waste of time, because if something moves me, I might get an idea from it, or I might say, hey, maybe I can help somebody with this idea, or maybe, it's a great like prompt for my own stuff too,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I love it so much. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Michael. Keep doing the amazing work that you're doing. Never stop doing what you love. And we're going to connect soon.
Thank you. Thank you. And bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please subscribe or leave a review. See you next week on the Giving Starts With You podcast.